It happened that some fishermen were sleeping for the night in a seaside hut when they spied the door creak open but a crack, and a pale and dripping woman's arm reached within, beckoning. They stayed mute and still, feigning sleep until at last it withdrew and left them in peace. The next day they related the tale of what they had witnessed to other fishermen at work, and one, a young man, yet newly married, scoffed at their timidity. He would not be so terrified to take a woman's hand, he said. That very night he had his turn to stay within the seaside hut, and when the door once again creaked open, and the pale, dripping hand beckoned to them, the young man stood, and, perhaps driven more by the memory of his bravado than any actual desire, took the hand in his. It drew him out through the door, and though the other fishermen waited, he did not return that night, nor the next morning, nor any morning thereafter, and the hand was not seen again. 3 years passed, and at length the wife he had left behind was persuaded to remarry, for surely she was a widow by then. In the midst of the wedding, though, who should walk in the door of the cottage but the lost fisherman himself? He told the tale of a sea nymph who took him to a pearly palace beneath the waves, where he forgot all about his prior life, passing time as if in a dream. Then, one day, the nymph mentioned there was to be a wedding in his home, and he knew at once his wife was to be the bride. He remembered all then, and begged to see her just once. The nymph allowed this, but warned him he was not to step foot within the house. Of course, when he saw his wife in her wedding dress and crown, he could not resist, but walked within. It is said that soon after a tempest came and took half the roof of the house away, and the lost fisherman fell sick and died 3 days later. It can only be presumed that the bride and her new husband remained wed, and perhaps even lived happily after. As for the nymph, no more is said of her.